we have the Science Forward exam question for this week. It is the same passage that you read for last week. There is just, however, a different question. So the question says, the armadillo's poor eyesight is not useful for sensing predators. Which two features of a predator would most likely make the predator easier for an armadillo to detect? So let's look at that. We have a few important pieces of information in this question. Okay, so it talks about the poor eyesight is not useful for sensing predators. So we know that eyesight is not one of the options, but it's asking which two features, meaning there's going to be two features you're looking for of a predator, that's an animal that hunts the armadillo, and would most likely, meaning this is the most likely. There may be a question, and that's really good, but we want the best, the most likely answer to make the predator easier for the armadillo to detect. So, what can the armadillo use to help identify predators? Okay, so these are our options. A, being warm blooded, which makes the predator give off more heat. B, having a strong odor, which makes the predator easier to smell. C, being taller, which makes the predator take up more space. D, having scales, which causes the predator's body to reflect light. Or E, weighing more, which causes the predator to be noisier when it moves. So, which two features, meaning we are picking two of these options. We only need two of them. Okay? So we're not circling one letter, we're not circling three letters, we're circling two letters. So let's look back up at the reading and see what it says. Armadillos are mammals that have many features to help them survive. They dig large holes in the ground to sleep and live in. They eat insects and worms. All types of armadillos have a shell called a carapace, which is made of hard pieces of bone that are connected to each other. It can bend where the pieces of bones connect to each other, so it is both hard and flexible. Okay, that paragraph tells us nothing about predators. Nothing. The second part says armadillos have poor eyesight, so they must rely on other senses to help them survive. Okay, so armadillos must use their sense of smell and hearing to figure out what other types of animals are in the area. Okay, so their ears and smell, right? Hearing is for ears, smelling is their nose. Okay, so then it says the armadillo can remember the scent of other armadillos and recognize them. So the only two options that the passage mentions are smelling and hearing, figuring out predators. But let's just read those answers again. So, being warm blooded, which makes the predator give off more heat. Well, which two features of a predator would most likely make a predator easier? Well, they use their ears and their nose. Okay. Being warm blooded. So, if the predator was warm blooded, it would make the predator makes the predator give off more heat. It doesn't sense heat, right? The armadillo doesn't sense heat. It smells and hears to figure out what type of animal. So I would say no to A. Having a strong odor, which makes the predator easier to smell. So a predator having a strong odor would make it easier to smell. That's a possibility because what does the armadillo use? It uses its nose. And odor, strong odor is smelling. That's nose. So I'm going to put like a little couple dots, like a star next to letter B because it's a possible answer. Let's see if there's more. Being taller, which makes the predator take up more space. Does this say anything about height or whether it being small or anything? Has that have anything to do with their ears and nose? No, I'd probably say no. All right, let's see. Having scales, which causes the predator's body to reflect light. Well, light would be something that your eyes see when it reflects, right? But the armadillo's eyes doesn't help it figure out what animals. Its smelling and hearing does. And this says reflect light. So I'm going to have to say no. Weighing more, which causes the predator to be noisier when it moves. Well, if something's noisy, okay, they use their ears, the sense of hearing to hear noise. So their ears. So I'd say that's a possible answer. So now let's look back at all of your answers. Well, it looks like you have B and E as the only options, but that's two different answers. Oh, but wait, the question is asking for two features. Well, if a predator has a strong odor and it weighs more, then those are two features that we chose, and it's to a predator. So our answers are B and E.